Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Lynnea.
And this is Dusted or Busted. This week, we saw the queens come in from last runway, and we saw them meet up with the first set of queens, and the claws were already starting to come out. I can just imagine, like, the tempers. I mean, they just had to put up with Magnolia, first of all, and they were spending all day on their outfits. They spent definitely some hours on the runway, so...
Lots of energy already expended. They don't have time for these other queens.
I did enjoy when they came in. I loved when they showed Vivacious. Mm-hmm. And she's just sitting there, like, filing her nails. And she looked good in that. I love that hair. I love that outfit.
Here's what I'm wondering. Did they get them into that drag just for that interaction? Because we didn't see it anywhere else. So they made them get completely in drag just to show that little, like, 30-second clip.
So, mini challenge. They had to do, like, a swimsuit photo shoot where one person was the top half of the body, the other person was the bottom half.
First of all, Darian and
Dayla
chose each other. And there were some major differences between the top half and the bottom half.
Darian's legs are sticking out of Dayla's petite little body. And it was hilarious. I thought they should have won that photo shoot. Well, the biggest thing that I noticed during this photo shoot was Milk's penis. She was not
on display in front of God and everybody. So Adore and Milk were team captains because they won the mini challenge. This challenge was an acting challenge. They had to do a horror film.
Well, they picked their teams, and Adore and Milk are starting to pick people, and they only pick people.
They pick all their own people.
They pick their people from their original group, and RuPaul's like, well, that's really interesting. And at first I thought about it, and I was like, oh, that's playing it safe a little bit. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time...
Wouldn't you want to? You know what they're going to bring to the table.
You don't know what the other group is like aside from what they walked in from the first challenge.
And even if you have, like, problem queens in your group, you know it. So you can plan for that and think ahead.
Plus, they all seem pretty chill with each other. No one in their own group seemed to be against one another. So Adore starts assigning people roles, and she gives Gia Gunn the, like, Valley Girl role.
Which doesn't really take any acting on her part.
And then Adore was just a horrible team leader because she gives Dayla the crazy mother. Mm-hmm. And then Vivacious goes, oh, well, I want to be the crazy mother. And now, if I were Adore, and I think, hey, Dayla's probably the best actor in the group. She can take any role. I'm going to give Vivacious the role that she wants.
The one that she's asking for.
So that she can do a good job of it. And then Dayla can take pretty much any role and do something with it.
Amen. Also, in the main challenge... The opening scene with Courtney and Bianca.
That was so good.
They nailed it. And I think that they did it in one take.
Uh-huh.
Because there was no way that they were going to put all that blood on them unless they were done with the other part.
Right.
And again, they don't show us everything, but it looks like they were a one and done. Although when they were sitting in the chairs afterwards and Bianca's eyelash was like down here, that was hilarious. Gia and Adore did not know their lines.
No, they didn't. They didn't know how to interact with each other.
And Adore is the most unprofessional queen I've ever seen on the show.
She's worse than Serena Chacha. Jocelyn was a surprisingly good actress.
Jocelyn did a good job. I thought she pulled off the role well, mostly because I think she's just good at doing what she's told. One of my favorite moments, because in their little side interviews, the producers are getting a little bit more involved, which I think is hilarious. Because when Gia Gunn said kind of shady that, like, ours was in color and the other one was in black and white, and the producer goes, do you think maybe that's because one is set in the 60s and one is set in the 80s? Also, in the main challenge, who was the midget sitting in the chair?
Yeah, that was weird. At first, I thought it was Bianca that they put her head through a hole in the chair, and then they just put, like, a little doll in front of her. Because I thought when we watched...
We were trying to figure out who that was.
When we watched the black and white movie, it looked kind of like Bianca. And then when we watched the 80s movie in color, that was not Bianca or any other queen.
The other issue with it is that it was just shady editing with the final products for both of their videos. Because the first video, they produced it well, the editing was good, And in the second video, they left in like lots of long pauses.
To make it look like they didn't know their lines. And then when we get to Untucked, Jocelyn Fox is like, well, they take the best takes, and I want to know what's on the cutting room floor. I was like, do they really, though?
On the runway this week, there were some interesting looks going on, especially because category is Best Drag. I liked Courtney's. I thought she looked like a Barbie, so I liked Courtney's. I would say that I really liked Bianca's too.
I'd say my favorite was April's because I loved the concept. I loved the way it looked in the back and the bottom.
Oh, yeah, with that umbrella. That was really good.
That was really creative.
Mm-hmm. Most busted on the runway.
You can say this one.
Milk.
Yeah. Why didn't she get red for
nose. And her bottom half, the, like, little panties with the, like, thigh-high sock cut off, she wore that when she walked in the workroom.
I'm into sort of conceptual drag, the really avant-garde stuff. But at the end of the day, I like drag where it looks like you've crossed genders at some point. I didn't get female from Milk at all. I didn't get it in the makeup. I didn't get it in the hair. I didn't get it in the clothes.
And here's the other thing. We love Vivacious, and you can say that her look wasn't feminine, because I to some point could agree with that. However, if drag can be whatever you want it to be, and Milk can get away with that nose and that outfit and that hair, Vivacious should be able to get away with whatever she wants.
Right.
And what I didn't understand was that Michelle Visage was the only person who stood up for her drag. RuPaul doesn't even defend Vivacious.
Right.
That was shady. And maybe she did and we didn't see it, but the fact that Michelle called Ru out and said, you grew up with this as well, and Ru didn't even respond. Gia Gunn was terrible on the runway.
I just didn't like the pattern on that
I didn't like
suit.
her look. I didn't like her hair. I don't like anything about her. I think that Gia and Adore should have been in the bottom two, because Gia did not do a good job. And Adore was the team captain.
Adore should have been in the bottom two instead of April, at least.
In the bottom two. But that lip sync was fierce.
Yes, I thought that lip sync was so good.
And thank goodness that Vivacious, who is an old queen, knew the lyrics to a new song. We were both the whole time going, Shantae, you both stay. So this week in Untucked, Adore and Bianca got into it, like we said they would. And Bianca wins every time because she always has something to say back, and there's always a little bit of truth to her shade.
Can we talk about how they show the little exclusive about they ask all the queens from Adore's team, they ask them who should go home, and they all said Vivacious.
But you know whose response they didn't show?
Vivacious. I want to know who she said.
I want to know who she said,
I want to know if she stood up for herself.
And then in Untucked, they were like, why don't you say something? Why don't you, where's the fight? And she said, I let my work speak for myself.
Which we also said, sometimes we get it right. So they go back to talking about Vivacious on the runway, and they all go backstage, and they're like, well, we didn't really want to answer that question, but you're just not putting up a good fight, and I look up to you so much, and I respect you so much, and I really want you to succeed. And then they cut to Vivacious in her little one-on-one interview, and she says, those shady apes threw me under the bus. That's right. Hashtag shady apes.
Another favorite moment of mine in Untucked was in the Bianca versus Adore feud. And Adore was asked what queen she wouldn't want to work with, and she said Bianca, and Bianca goes, okay. What's your name again?
I also like, because RuPaul and Adore were kind of getting into it, because Adore doesn't know what she's doing, because she's a young person trying to buck her authority. She said, you owe it to your talent to do your homework. Mm-hmm. And I like that.
I liked what Vivacious said about the young queens. She said, you're still that young kid in the corner trying to be a lady.
Right. Whereas Vivacious can walk into a room and automatically, boom, all eyes on her. The editors are just shady apes. Like, for example, can we finally say it?
Yes.
They're setting up Milk to win this season.
They are setting up Milk
So
to
I'm
win.
on Team Milk by default, I guess, because I want to be right.
Think about it. Last episode, she came on the main stage with a beard and nobody cared.
She came on the
she came out with a
stage.
Pinocchio nose, and nobody said a thing about it.
Not even in Untucked when people like joke with each other.
No.
What I noticed in the intro to Untucked is that they show Adore a lot. So we know, first of all, we know Adore's going to be here like 2 or 3 or 4 more episodes at least. They show Bianca, they show Jocelyn a lot, but they don't show Milk a lot. They also don't show Magnolia Crawford a lot because she got eliminated. They don't show Kelly because she got eliminated. But Milk has yet to be eliminated. Now, what I noticed from past seasons, if we look at the intro from season 5, they show Roxy Andrews 6 times. They show Alaska 5 times. And they show Jinx Monsoon 2 times. 2.5 if you count the time where they show her body but her head is out of the frame. Now, we all know Jinx Monsoon didn't get eliminated at all. So, I think Milk probably made top 3. Pardon the pun. They've milked the camp queens as much as they can. Jinx Monsoon won last season, Sharon Needles won the other season, and I think they deserve those wins, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Team Sharon from the get-go, I was on Team Jinx from the get-go.
Yeah, you were.
And I don't see that in anyone else. I love camp. I do a campier character when I'm in drag. And I think it's time for a glamour queen to win this time because I think Courtney could do it. I think Bianca could do it, and Bianca's like a mix of glamour and camp. So, let's cut out with the camp for now.
Mm-hmm. I've had enough.
Mm-hmm.
My most dusted of the week would have to be either Courtney or Bianca because they both did an amazing job in the main challenge. And their looks on the runway were fierce. I loved Bianca's collar that she had. That was amazing. So I love both of their looks, and they're my most dusted. If you say Gia, so help me God.
I'm not going to say Gia. I'm going to say Courtney, because I think they both did really well in the video. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say Courtney only because I liked her runway look more.
My most busted would... It's got to be Adore.
I'm going to say Adore,
It has to be Adore.
Because she was team captain, and she's going to fucking get out of the bottom 2 again.
It's time for Adore to go home. I've had enough.
Adore is out the door.
And don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
So next week, I've already seen the first 10 minutes of it.
Because we do our research. Thank you.
They have to look at close-ups of like celebrities on the red carpet, and they have to guess whether it's a female or a she-male. So they show like a close-up of Michelle Visage's titties, and Darian Lake goes, "Oh, that's a breastplate," so I'm going to say it's a she-male. That's the mini challenge, and it's another teen challenge. And the winners are Dayla and Adore. So that's good that they can't pick their own people again.
That's true.
Plus...
And who do you think is going to be a better team captain after what we saw this week?
So, and then the challenge is a Broadway musical. So Dayla...
Another acting challenge.
And singing challenge.
And singing.
So Dayla, I don't remember exactly who she picks, but I know she picked Courtney. And Dayla gave Courtney the lead. Adore, I think she gave herself the lead. So Dayla gave Courtney the lead, and Courtney's like sitting in the corner singing like quietly to herself. And Adore's in the fucking middle of the workroom, belting it out for the whole world to hear.
You know who else did that? Tyra.
You know who else won? Tyra.
I know Courtney can act, and I don't know if Adore can act.
Yeah, she was kind of on the fence about last week, and I think the only reason she did so well in the acting challenge last week was because she kind of is an 80s Valley girl.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to make a prediction that Dayla's whole team is going to be safe. Mm-hmm. I bet this is going to be the challenge where Courtney finally wins. And as for the other team, I'm going to say probably April in the bottom, if I remember April being on the other team.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about who was really bad at the acting. I hope Gia's a bad singer.
Oh, you know Gia's a bad singer. She has like 3 notes that she can speak.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I hope that Gia's in the bottom 2. So I'm going to say Gia's in the bottom 2, along with either April or Jocelyn.
Yeah, I could see Jocelyn being in the bottom. And I think Dayla did a really good job handing out the the roles
the
this
rules.
time.
I just think she's going to be a better delegator because she knows how to listen to her peers. And
She's also 31 instead of 23.
Mm-hmm. Dayla's team is going to win. Courtney's going to win overall, and it's going to be Gia and Jocelyn in the bottom two.
I think I have to agree with you.
Let's hope. So that was this week's episode of Dusted or Busted. Comment below with who you think is going to go home next week and who's going to stay. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
This week, in honor of our fallen queen, we're going to make a drink in honor of Vivacious, and we're calling it a Shady 8. So when I think of Vivacious, I think of bright colors, the neon, dark lights. So I thought, why not use UV? And so since we had UV watermelon on hand, we're going to use UV watermelon. And now we're going to add 1 ounce of DeKuyper triple sec. And then we're going to add about 6 ounces of lemonade. Top it off with 7-Up. So in honor of Vivacious, here is the Shady 8.
The Shady 8.
Thanks for watching.
Cheers.